Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guests and I play a little bit of movie roulette and randomly select something off my enormous, obnoxious movie watch list. And hopefully, we'll have a film to recommend to you all. And joining me and now frequent collaborator is Bubbawheat. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, it's good to be back.
And it was interesting because our first couple of films that we did were pretty like prestige kind of films, and then we got some Son of Frankenstein, and now we have Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. So got something a little bit different here, and a little bit of background. This debuted on HBO December 11th, 1993, as this was an HBO release. This is based off of the 1958 film of the same name. This is directed by Christopher Guest, which is why it was on my watch list. Very different than most of the Christopher Guest films that I have seen for sure. This actually got a theatrical release in Europe. So that's just here. I was like, nope, you're going to HBO. And it had a $7 million budget. But giving you a little synopsis here, when an abused heiress grows giant size because her encounter with aliens, she decides to get revenge on her cheating husband and those who annoyed her. And it's starring Daryl Hannah, big star of the 80s, and D-list Baldwin, Daniel Baldwin. Because I'm like, for a hot second, I'm like, is this Billy Baldwin? No, it doesn't quite look like Billy Baldwin. And I had to look up, it is indeed Daniel Baldwin. So, but, and then some throw in some other supporting characters here. But what were your general thoughts on Attack of the 50-Foot Woman?
Well, the funny thing is that this is the first movie that I've talked about on your show that I've actually seen before.
Mm,
I don't have very clear memories of it other than the fact that I know that I've seen it before because
mm,
it would have been in the 90s back whenever this was relatively new. I probably saw it on one of those HBO free weekends.
mm.
But I watched it again this time and it's not very good. I read a little bit
No.
of trivia about it, and um, Daryl Hannah said that she agreed to do the film because she really liked the script and that it did something different with it in terms of like feminism and feminine and women
Mm.
empowerment, and I could kind of see that it's just not done very well.
No. And I guess the most I will give this movie credit for, one, yes, they do try to do something in terms of empowering this character because they better, because for like two-thirds of this movie, she is crapped on again and again and again. And like ridiculously, like this woman is just completely just in a situation where her father and her husband are just taking so much advantage of her. And she finally feels empowered when she becomes enormous. And there was, in general, I thought they did a decent job for a TV movie making like having her being enormous. But there were a few moments where I'm just like, this looked terrible.
Yeah, I thought I thought that the force perspective stuff was pretty good,
Mm,
and then they got, and I'm sure like the digital compositing. I mean, you could kind of tell what they were doing, but it looked very of the time, but it worked for what they were doing and for
yeah.
the age of the film. And then you get to the her picking up doll
Yes.
Daniel Baldwin, and it's like that is just it's like she's practically picking up a Ken doll.
It's like just pick up Doll Baldwin.
hmm
It's not Daniel Baldwin anymore. It's Doll Baldwin. Like,
I do also have to point out that I whenever I watch this, I have a 3-year-old in the house, and she actually became invested in the movie, and about
mhm.
halfway through the movie, she sat down and watched the entire back half of the movie. with
Okay.
me. And like at the end, she was, she was all in. She loved it. She said, "I love it." She's like, and then like whenever she got to the end with Daryl Hannah and the other giant women aliens that with the trying to teach the Daniel Baldwin a lesson with the other two men that
Mm.
have been like feminist brainwashed, I guess. And she's like, she saved the day.
Hey, this hit the target market. Uh, little girls. There we go. Inspirational. But no, like this movie's boring a lot of the time. And this movie's only 90 minutes.
Mhm.
And this just reeks of this was made for TV. Like there's whole really silent moments where like I don't know if they couldn't afford a score for the whole entire movie, but like it's just like awkwardly silent. And then so much of this is just so many tropes and cliches because basically Nancy's not a character. She's just
Nobody's really a character. Like everybody is just a stereotype. I mean,
yes.
Daryl Hannah is an attempt at a character, but again, she's just like so beat down at the
Hmm.
beginning, and then she becomes big, and then she's giant with a heart condition,
And
and
then
then
she
she
faints.
yeah, and then she goes on the attack in the last 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and then she's fully empowered feminist alien at the very end.
Which for a movie that's Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, that attack doesn't happen until there's like 10 minutes left in the movie. It's so much buildup. And the buildup is so frustrating because everybody is such a caricature, which means every action feels so cliche and like overbearing. Daniel Baldwin's performance is just not interesting, and he's just a scumbag.
Mm,
I did appreciate seeing William Wyndham, who plays because that's her father, right? Because
yeah.
he, I know him from Murder She Wrote. So like that's what I immediately was like, oh my god, it's from Murder She Wrote. But like her dad's just a conniving jerk.
And
Whatever
also
the
his
hell.
plan doesn't really make sense.
It's just-
Like they don't explain, I mean they don't really need to, but it's like he
No,
just has her signing papers every day. It's like
if I keep
he's
having you
doing
sign these papers, I get my land. What? Explain,
and
please.
yeah, it's like there's no explanation for what he's doing. It's just clearly he's doing something nefarious because he keeps trying to get her to sign the papers when she's giant, and she's like, "No." And he's like, "We can miniaturize your your signature, and it'll be valid." And she's like, "Well, why don't you blow up the papers?" And he's like, "Well, I don't want everybody to see our business." And she's like, "I'm not gonna sign anything I can't read."
That whole entire interaction was just like, why are we focusing time on this interaction? And like everything feels so flat. Like the a lot of the performances, a lot of the characters are very flat. The interactions where it's just like so much of it is just uninteresting.
And then
And
you have the sheriff and the deputy is just it's like it seems like they were trying to make a character of her, and I can kind of get that she has her own kind of mini arc where we're first introduced to her, and she gets the sheriff a hot dog, and he's like, is does it have cheese on it? And she's like, you didn't ask for cheese. And he said, but I always have cheese on my hot dogs. I don't need to ask for cheese. And then, like the next scene, he's timing her loading a six shooter, and then she gets like the after credits. The they have the paragraph update of like the
yeah,
all the women characters.
yeah.
It's like could this be any more like blatantly just it feels like feminist pandering.
Coming from Christopher Guest, which which this is very interesting in context because obviously Christopher Guest was a working actor through the 80s. And yeah, he didn't really get into like his thing until 96 with Waiting for Guffman. Because then he really started just doing the mockumentaries. And that's what Christopher Guest is really known for. I'm a big fan of a lot of his mockumentaries, but like this just felt there's no personality here. Like
Mm.
it just felt so cheap looking and not and like it didn't even like lean into the campiness of like this is a this is like a B movie from the 50s and we're gonna like be campy and fun. It never finds the
It,
fun
yeah,
like at
it feels
all.
like there was an attempt with like the honey character, but yeah, there's just not enough fun in this movie, and so much of it is just giant Daryl Hannah sitting, laying in the corner of the barn,
Yeah. And like
or like looking at the stars. It's like, oh, it's so nice to be outside, and let's have this dinner, and it's like, oh my God, just do
why just
something.
divorce him or squash him, just move on. And like Frances Fisher from like Titanic and Unforgiven is just this therapist who's just like there.
Mm.
She she's just there. She talks to Daryl Hannah a couple of times throughout the movie. And this is such a wasted like it's interesting because I'm not saying most of the stars of this movie are like really talented actors. Like Daryl Hannah, I think I appreciate what she brings to a lot of the roles that she does have. And I'll say, like, I think she's great in the Kill Bill movies. I think that's something where she really gets to like have some fun in a role. But like her, Daniel Baldwin, and like so many of these actors are just given nothing to work
Mhm.
with, to the point where it's just like the only levity or fun coming out of this is the sheriff and deputy. And like, why are we spending time with but like honestly, they
And
were
they're
one of the
so non-integral to the plot too.
no,
Like really the only thing that they do is he is at the end, whatever he says, you're not supposed to fire until I say fire. And then they start firing.
no. Uh I don't know if I have much more to say about this. This was it was 90 minutes. It was definitely a TV movie.
Yeah,
And it
I
was
think it's interesting too because I've been watching Doctor Who for the past almost a year now, trying to
yeah.
get through it, and I've been trying to like finish up the end because it's leaving HBO Max at the end of as we're recording this in like 5 more days, less than five, like 3 more days, and I'm in the Jodie Whittaker era, and that I think whenever it came out it got criticized for feeling like it was very feminist pandering, and I don't think it's that too much, but I do see a little bit of that because I feel like they really leaned into using, anytime they've done a historical episode, they went to like a strong female figure, and it's like,
Mm.
okay, I get it. The doctor's a woman now, so you want to tell
Yeah.
all these, but it doesn't have to be like every story has to be centered around a strong woman just because the doctor's a woman. Just like, it be Doctor Who has always had a lot of strong women, but it
Mm.
feels like it's a lot more forced in that season.
His movie is the definition of feeling forced, and to the point where it doesn't accomplish anything. Like it's so ridiculous and so poorly written that all of this just seems like a kind of a joke. But
Yeah,
like
and I mean, I feel like we're all Daniel Baldwin's character at the end. It's like we're trying to be forced into feminism, and he's just not having it. He's just like, I don't know what you're trying to get me to do. I just want a beer.
which like the movie feels like a joke, but not enough for us to laugh at anything. It's just like it feels so hollow what it's doing. And honestly, the movie has like a tone and a depth that's just hollow. It
Yeah,
just
and it
feels
really feels, and I'm pretty sure it is. Like I didn't double check to see if anybody else was involved in terms of the writing process. But that this is a Christopher Guest directed movie. I imagine he had a hand in writing it, but this feels very, feminist, written by a man.
The original script was Mark Hanna. The teleplay was Joseph Doherty. So yes, no women involved at all. So absolutely none. Which I guess Mark Hanna wrote the original screenplay of the 1958 version, and then the screenwriter was a producer on Pretty Little Liars, and that's like one of their biggest credits. So, yeah, not particularly interesting. Nor was this movie, sitting pretty at a 4.0 on IMDb. So, and usually IMDb is more forgiving to most movies. But I guess, do you have any other thoughts that you want to throw out there about Attack of the 50-Foot Woman?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Well, that's a wrap then on another episode of the Wasteland Watchlist. But we thank you so much for coming on and chatting movies with me.
Absolutely.
And thank all of you for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite, like, campy B sci-fi monster movies if you check out stuff from like the 50s and 60s? I'm really wondering if like the original ones at least some like silly fun. Maybe I'll go check out that at some point. But and make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPNM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. So if you ever want to be a guest on one of our shows, or like this one, or start your own podcast, please make sure to go reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, check out High Flyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Watch List here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.